So, good afternoon. Today we are going to discuss about the regulatory bodies across the world and a brief introduction of the registration process. Because see, in 1 hour session, it's highly impossible to cover each country specific rules and regulations. But once you join the course, you will learn a lot, as per the country specific rules and regulations. All the contents is available on network. So all information which is gathered and made this PPT out of it is available on it. So everyone is aware of the drug definition, right? The drug and the regulation. So drug means what? All medicines for internal or external use of human beings or animals, and all substances intended to be used for diagnosis, treatment, mitigation, or prevention of any disease or disorder in human being or animals. Right? So not only human being, the drug which is used for animals also is called a drug, and the regulation is applicable for the human drug, and the animal drug is more or less similar, exactly similar. Okay, so that's why those who are new pharma buddies coming out of university for B Farm, M Farm, because I could see from the list many of them are freshers also, and that is why I have to tell, I have to teach right from the basics. Correct? And those who are at senior level having 15-20 years experience, please excuse me if it is, a very basic level for you, because at the end of the session, I would like to see happy faces. At the end of the session, I would love to see, the each person, whether it is a fresher or middle management or top management, have understood what I mean to say, what I mean to deliver in today's session. Okay, that is the purpose of teaching. This is the style of teaching from my end. So, to coming back the regulations. So, we have discussed regulatory affairs. So, anyone in this session who are attending can tell me the definition of regulatory affairs. Then we go to regulation. You can just unmute and speak. Can someone try? I have asked regulatory affairs. Okay. Can you please? Or shall I? Hello.
Ma'am, hello.
Yes.
It's like a documentation, ma'am, for certain medical devices or like pharmaceutical things that have been coming to the market. There's a certain regulations are there. So to meet that regulation, we make like some sort of that documentation part. So that is basically a simple idea of regulatory affairs, ma'am. Not a advanced
Okay,
in.
okay. Thank you, Danny. At least you have tried and you are more or less towards, nearby the definition. So when I ask what is regulatory
Regulatory affair
affairs,
means a drug registration process prior to the commercialization activity of the product.
okay, okay. Anyone else?
Hi,
That
this is
is the
Rajesh.
regulatory.
Yes.
So basically, it is a regulation to protect the public health, and it is the way desire how we protect the public health using these government laws and regulatory guidelines.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Still, in a layman language, can someone define what is regulatory affairs?
it is like
What
profession.
exactly you do?
It acts like a bridge between pharma industry and regulations. It,
Okay.
satis- it satisfies the needs of the regulatory bodies by implementing those things at the industry, and whatever the industry practices we are following, they should make in line with them, with the regulatory requirements. It
And
acts
what do
like
you
a
do
bridge
exactly?
between.
What do you do exactly when you are working in regulatory affairs
Madam,
department?
the
We
regulatory affairs
submit
is, yeah.
DMFs. We submit DMFs to the regulatory bodies, and we prepare our industry and our documentation in line with the current regulatory practices and requirements.
Okay, so guys, all of you have given a good answer. I'm really happy. So coming to the definition, when I asked what is regulatory affairs means collecting, analyzing, and communicating the risk and benefit of pharmaceutical product to different agencies all over the world. Are you with me? So regulatory affairs means collecting, analyzing, and communicating, right? Collecting means what? You're collecting all the information about quality, safety, efficacy, right? Then what? Analyzing, you're justifying. You're making dossier out of it. You're writing quality oral summary. You're justifying, your product in front of the regulatory bodies. Whichever body could be, US, Europe, Canada, whichever. And what you're communicating, look, my product is manufactured under quality like GMP, right? It is safe, it is efficacious, because any health authority's main objective is what? To protect public health. And in order to protect public health, we have to meet those requirements. Right? So regulatory affairs is nothing but collecting, analyzing, and communicating risk and benefits of the pharmaceutical products to different agencies all over the world. Okay. So whenever in the interview, if someone asks what is the definition, this is the exact definition you have to speak of. Okay. So coming to regulation, regulate means to control something so that it functions properly, right? So, if you see, the drugs play important role in the health and economy of country. So, pharmaceutical drugs are available from number of sources to ensure that they meet prescribed standards, to ensure the safety, efficacy, and quality of the drugs, as well as accuracy and appropriateness of the drug information available to the public. So the regulatory bodies not only see that quality, safety, efficacy should be met. Apart from that, how you advertise, how you publish the drug information, right? So the accuracy and appropriateness of the drug information available to the public should also meet the regulatory requirements. Okay, so what are the key functions of drug regulatory agencies? First is product registrations, regulation of drug manufacturing, importation and distribution, adverse drug reaction monitoring. You might have heard about the pharmacovigilance. Why this pharmacovigilance is must? Can anyone unmute and tell me? Why there is a necessity to control on the
If
adverse drug? Yeah.
any adverse or drugs were consumed by human people, to
Yeah.
track and understand the reasons why it has happened, and
Okay.
to reduce the effect of the adverse effects to remaining people, and to react properly.
Okay. So, pharmacovigilance is must because we have to be vigilant when the drug is consumed by people, the person like us, whether it gives the adverse event, adverse effect, adverse reaction, whatever way, sometimes you might have seen if you take the antibiotics, you feel the acidic, right? So that is why usually doctor prescribes antacid like pan 40 or something else along with the antibiotic. Okay, so that is how the adverse drug reactions have to be captured. So whatever reaction, sometimes the patient has taken some medicine and has started walking, and he felt or he is feeling dizziness and he just fainted. So what could be the? It could be the adverse reaction of the drug. Okay, So you have to monitor whatever reactions happens to your body, you have to monitor, and that is why pharmacovigilance has become very important. In case of medical device, materiovigilance, what we call, that is also very, very important. When you insert the pacemaker into body, when you insert the stent in your body, or while using the wheelchair, if it gives the, something adverse effect, while radiation in cancer patient, it gives some adverse effect. So you have to monitor all these adverse event happening around the patient, out of that drug or the medical device. You have to capture everything and report. And that is how these regulatory agencies' main functions lies with what? Apart from the product registration, they look into the adverse reaction, means pharmacovigilance and the materiovigilance. Then the licensing of premises and person and practices, right? So they offer the licenses. When you register your product, you get the license, right, for 3 years or 5 years. In some cases, 5 years validity. So validity is when ISO issues the certification, the 3 years validity. When we get the manufacturing license, you 5 years validity, right? So different types of licenses or the accreditation or the certification we get has the different validity, and it has to be given by different agencies, right? So main goal of agency is to guarantee the safety, efficacy, and the quality of the product. So these are the key functions. Then we move slowly to advanced level. So these are the basic thing why we are covering, because there are a couple of students from the college. So, what the drug regulation, right? The key function of drug regulatory agency is to define the drug laws, regulate the drug information center. Then they have to control on the quality, right? The quality of the product, which is manufactured in different companies like Cipla, Sandoz, Novartis, Glenmark, whichever, like IPCA, whichever company, there are thousands of companies, right? So how they manufacture is very important. How they maintain the quality is very important, right? And there are different drug regulatory boards, drug regulatory agencies, right? So when we talk about the different regulatory bodies and the regulatory agencies, there are several agencies. You can see, right from A to Z, and these are all agencies, is available on our website also. If you go to www.Raj Pharma e-learning under resource, there is a library and lots of guidances. Then these resources are available. So if you click on any of this country specific, website, it will take you through the specific country specific MOH, okay, Ministry of Health or the regulatory bodies. So you can see there are different regulatory bodies under North America, Australia, New Zealand, Middle East, Central South America, and so on. Asia Pacific, then Africa. You can see there are so many country specific guidelines around the world. So coming to the basic definition, we have seen the regulatory affair definition already. So now we'll fast moving towards next definition. So regulatory affairs we have covered. So regulation is also, I think, covered. So regulations are defined as the combination of legal, administrative, and technical measures that government take to ensure the safety, efficacy, and quality of health products and the relevance and accuracy of product information. What is law? The system of rules, right, which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the action of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties, right? So without laws, we cannot, register, or we cannot follow any rules and regulations, right? So laws are must to follow. So what is the difference between the laws and the regulation, right? So laws comes from the legislative bodies like the Congress and set policy in broad terms. Regulation comes from the executive branch and provide details on how the laws are to be implemented. Like you have seen Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940, then MDR Rule 2017. So, coming to rules, an accepted principle or instruction that states the way things are or should be done and tells you what you are allowed and what you are not allowed to do. So that is called rules. Okay. So coming to directives. So directives means what? You know, a you must have seen, when you are handling European countries, there are directives. That is, like it looks like this 2001/83/EC or European MDR 2017, 745. So, directive is a type, and directives only you would see in the European country. None of other country is, you know, uh, I mean to say, directives are not available or not followed by any other countries. And it is available only in European EMA. Okay, so directives again, it's a type of legislation issued by the EU countries which is binding on member state. Why they call it is binding on member state? Because Europe has almost 27 plus 3, like 30 or 31 countries, and they have their own national regulation. Each country has to follow their own national regulation. Okay, so EU, which is binding on member state in terms of objective, but which leaves choice of method to member state. And then the legislative instrument that specify the aims to be achieved, but we generally leave the question of how to achieve those aims up to the national government or their agents. Okay. Then the guidance. You might have seen there are so many guidances are available. ICH, IEC, then 21 CFR, then there are so many guidelines are available. But are they mandatory to follow? No. Why? Why they have not written it is mandatory? But if you fail to follow, what will happen? You will not understand how you have to go ahead. Say, for example, you have developed a method and you have designed a specification, and without validation you have submitted the dossier. So there will be a query like deficiency coming from the health authority. Why didn't you validate? So you don't know how to validate. So there are guidance like ICHQ2, ICHQ3. So when you talk about analytical method validation, you have to follow ICHQ2. And when it is for the related substance or the impurity, ICHQ3. So like that, there are several guidances available in ICH. If you see ICHQ1, Q2, Q3, now it is up to Q14. So you have to have understanding about all those guidances available in the country, or sometimes the product specification specific guidances are also available through BIS, that is Bureau of Indian Standards. Then there are you follow the EP, BP, USP, all the monographs also. So that's all comes under the guidance. So guidance represents what the agency's current thinking on the particular subject, but it is not binding. That means you should read it to determine what the agency's views on the subject is or was at that particular time. Okay. Standard means what? Standard also you have seen ISO standard 9001, 13485, 22000, 27000. So many thousands of standards, right? ISO standard. So a standard is an agreed way of doing something. It could be about making a product, managing a process, delivering a service, or supplying materials. Standards can cover a huge range of activities undertaken by organization and used by their customer. And this helps to facilitate trade, provide a framework for achieving economies, efficiencies, and interoperability. Then enhance consumer protection and confidence. If you see, our company is also accredited as per the ISO 29993 2017 standard. So many company goes for ISO 9001. Medical device company goes for ISO 13485. So food again, ISO 22000. So there are so many standards are available in each segment. Even if you are a service provider, you go for select appropriate center. In education sector also, college, universities, they have ISO 21000. You know, so lots of standards are available, and you can go for the certification program via ISO. Then submission, this is a popular word used in our regulatory affairs, right? Submission means what? You are compiling the dossier in different format like ICH CTD, ECTD, ACTD. CTD means what? Common technical document. ECTD means what? Electronic common technical document. ACTD is Asian common technical document. NIS is non-electronic CTD. So like that, there are different types of submission format also you have to follow. So when you go for country specific rules regulation, you have to follow country specific format as well. So I have written a article on harmonization across the globe. The regulatory system harmonization. You should read it. The pain point of regulatory affair professionals I have written, because there are so many countries, like 257, more than 257 countries, and we have to meet all country specific requirement. If I want to register my product in Poland, Germany, Hong Kong, Switzerland, so I have to follow country specific rules and regulations. So there are different regulation, different format, different review cycle, different fees. So it is really, sometimes it becomes cumbersome for person working in regulatory field, but at the same time you get to learn so many things. So I have written one article that, see, everyone, like all companies are making their product with respect to quality, safety, and efficacy, and all companies have to register their product in major of the countries to get benefit out of it. Benefit in the terms of like patients, like we can provide all kind of medicine to patient. At the same time, we get the revenue, right? The commercial aspects are also very important. So when we register in different countries, we have to see how commercially viable proposal is. So it's not easy to get marketing authorization in any, each country at a time. Sometimes what happens, we go through the ROW country, that is rest of the world, the small countries like Congo, Africa, and GCC and all those countries. And slowly we move towards the regulated countries. So this globe is divided into regulated and semi-regulated market. What does it mean? Regulated means highly regulated, like US, Europe, Canada, UK MHRA. So there are a couple of countries, like 5 to 7, at the most 10 countries who follows strict regulation rules, like highly stringent. Those falls under what? Regulated market. Semi-regulated means ROW, means those are not very stringent like these countries, but we have to meet their country specific requirement. Okay, so that is how all industries regulatory department works, either in regulated market or the semi-regulated. Okay, so at the end of the day, we should see that we have to meet three parameters: quality, safety, efficacy, and we should be in a position to demonstrate, we should be in a position to justify our product in front of the health authority. Okay, so now we'll talk about the different regulatory bodies. So the biggest health authority is again USFDA, correct? So USFDA is again federal agency of United States, right? So it was formed on 30th of June 1906. So 111 years of history, you can see, more than that. And the founders are, Theodore Roosevelt, Harvey Washington Village, and headquarters is in, of course, Maryland, Silver Spring. And the parent agency is Department of Health and Human Services. So USFDA means what? United States Food, Drugs and Administration. So FDA is a common word used in each country, right? In India also we call it as local FDA. Local FDA means what? We have our own body like CDSCO, okay? But we have our state FDA like Maharashtra FDA, Gujarat FDA, Telangana district FDA. So district wise there is a state FDA. So Food and Drug Administration is a common term used for the different regulatory bodies. Okay. So when you go through the USFDA www.fda.gov, you will find many things on their website. It's very nice website and very user friendly. So one should learn what all the current guidances are available, and what guidances are applicable in your product, like for your product, and that regulations you have to follow judiciously in your company. So there, when we talk about USFDA, there are different types of application, right? IND, NDA, BLA. So IND is nothing but application falls into first category, like investigational new drug application. It is called INDA. Then NDA, BLA. So, my dear friends, to arrive from IND to NDA, it takes several years, right? You might have heard about the non-clinical and clinical phases. So, non-clinical itself, takes sometimes 4 years to 6 years to prove that the drug is safe in animal. Then we apply for the IND in first time in human, like clinical trial phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right? Once you get approval from phase 1, go to phase 2, phase 3. So like that, once we have arrived from non-clinical to clinical phase 1 to 3, then only you can go for NDA, that is new drug application. So that is in short. In USFDA, you have to follow IND, NDA. You have to apply for IND, NDA, PLA, OT. There is OTC also. So drugs are regulated slightly differently here, either by conformance with the established OTC drug monograph or via the NDA process. What does it mean? So once you establish this NDA and you have proven that your product is very safe, okay, and several years we have data for safety like pharmacovigilance, then you can go under the OTC label. OTC means what? Over the counter. Your drug can be sold out over the counter. Like you might have seen in US, Europe, and other part of the continent, medicines are displayed right in the e-pharmacy and all the malls and big shops. So without prescription, it can be sold out. That is how to get that label claim as without prescription, like RX to OTC switches are happening. And that is how these are the different application in USFDA which you can opt for. So when we talk about the IND, when you send the applicant the application to the drug, to CDER. CDER is what? Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. So in USFDA, you will see CDER, CBR, so biologic for CBER, then CDRH means the, what do you say, medical device. So there are different departments handling different like drug, device, and again the veterinary and biologics. So when we talk about IND, the drug investigational new drug application, it goes to CDER, and the technically it is divided for the review purpose. The chemistry part, the pharmacological, toxicological part, and the statistical part, and the medicinal part. So it is divided into 4 parts, and then it is reviewed. Okay. Then the safety review, once it is acceptable, then it goes for the complete review, right? Then it goes to, then the notify sponsor. If the data is, inappropriate or insufficient, then again, you will get the deficiency, sponsor notified the deficiency, and you will again, you have to follow the same path. So that is how this flow chart to be as given under the USFDA website. So again, I'm telling you, it's not very easy to enter from IND to NDA, and some now, if you see, many people are submitting ANDA, right? So ANDA is further, wherein all this clinical, non-clinical data is not required, but you have to prove your drug product is bioequivalent to the innovator. Okay, so all the innovator, when you want to bring a new drug into market, you have to follow this path, right? From IND to NDA. So coming back to this flow chart, hope you understood. Once you submit the application to CDER, then it is divided into four parts, that is medicinal, chemistry, pharmacological, toxicology, statistical. Then safety review happens. Then if it is acceptable, okay, it goes to further complete review, and review complete and acceptable, no deficiency, then only you get the IND approval. Okay, and if any case it is no, then it goes, you get the deficiency, and then again you have to rework on the study. Sometimes it is rejected also, right? You cannot proceed also for the next phase. So it depends on the case to case, how you justify and how you negotiate with the health authority. Then comes to NDA. Now, NDA comprises of, as I said, all the phases, phase 1, 2, 3. So NDA is the biggest application, I would say. BLA is the biggest application. So thousands of pages, it comprises of one dossier. So when we send again NDA, it will, said whether the application is fileable or not. Otherwise, you get the refused to file letter, RTR. Okay. So once it is acceptable, fileable, then the review start. Again, it is divided into 6 parts: medicinal, pharmacology, chemistry, like CMC, then bioform, statistical, and microbiology. And same then, review cycle happens. If everything is okay, the lab testing and all the results are okay, then only you get the approval. If it is no, then again you have to, recheck what parameters. Suppose only small deficiencies are there and not critical, then you can justify rework. But having said this, NDA takes, longer time to get the approval. But because of eCTD, the electronic submission, now the timelines have been reduced tremendously. Otherwise, we used to send truck-loaded paper, via DHL courier. When it was a paper submission, it was very cumbersome process. So they used to take 4 to 6 years. So now it has reduced, almost 2 to 2.5 years it takes for NDA to be reviewed. Still, it is okay, right? Then comes to your generic product, that is ANDA, abbreviated new drug application, right? So when we have well-established NDA, you have to take the innovator and go for the generic. But the dosage forms should be same. So okay, so it has to be one has to comparable to an innovator drug product in case of what? Dosage form, strength, route of administration, quality, performance characteristic, and the intended use. So in case of NDA, you have to meet all these 8 requirements, whereas in ANDA, you can replace this animal study, clinical study, viability with the bioequivalence study. So that is how the time is reduced, and it is very easy to follow this ANDA route. And it is really, we are happy and we are really getting advantage due to the Hatch-Waxman Act 1984. These two gentlemen have, came together and published this act, Hatch-Waxman Act. Due to Hatch-Waxman Act, this ANDA, the generic providers are, giving very good products to the patient. And if you see in India, most of the companies are into ANDA, that is generic product manufacturing, and couple of them are into NDA, because NDA takes huge lot of time, huge money, because phase 1, 2, 3 study is exploratory, multicentric, so multiple patients are required. Huge amount of money is invested, like for one clinical trial, it goes in crores of rupees. So altogether, it takes 8 to 10 years, and 800 to $1,000 million is the expenses. Have one NDA, bring one NDA into market. And that's the reason many people cannot afford due to cost, manpower, and so many constraints during the studies also. So ANDA, when
Hi,
you
ma'am.
submit to, yes,
Hello, ma'am. I have one question regarding your last slide, previous slide. Can you please explain me the difference between bioavailability and bioequivalence?
yeah, can I take later on? Yeah, let me finish
Yes.
this park your question, and we
Yes.
will take
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
All of you guys, if you have any question, write it down, we'll take it. Okay. So coming to ANDA, how the application is, approved. Same way, just USFDA checks the acceptability whether your ANDA is complete or not. If it is not, you get the refuse to file letter, that is RTR, and then ANDA is divided into 4 parts. Again, bioequivalence study report will be reviewed by SME, the subject matter expertise. Then chemistry, manufacturing control, that is CMC part is very important in ANDA, which is again reviewed by different department. Then the labeling review. And once everything is okay, there will be the inspection for the plant will be called. Okay. And if at all you get the CMC deficiency or bioequivalence deficiency, then you have to accept those deficiency and reply with the justification. Sometimes, in my experience, like we did the fasted study, so they have asked us to come with the fed study, the fed patient. It took 6 months to reply. So depending on the deficiency, whether it is minor, major, or critical, you have to submit the reply. Okay. So in this way, once we are fully, meeting all the requirement of quality, safety, efficacy, then our plant will be inspected and your ANDA will get the approval. Otherwise, it will go on. So, due to time constraint, we are not going to discuss in detail about each country, but I will walk through the different regulatory bodies and a small procedure. But this presentation and the what do you say, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel, so you can listen to me later on. You can watch through this presentation also. So coming from USFDA, we go to Europe. So again, European Union has 28 member states, and IFTA, that is European Free Trade Association, has 3+1, that is 4 member states. So together with it, comes to around 31 member states. Okay, so it is a bit complicated regulatory system to followed in Europe, because USFDA is one single country and you have to follow one regulation, right, under USFDA. But in Europe, you will find 28 member state plus 4, that means 31 national regulation. So each member state has their own regulation, what I mean to say. So if you want to register a product in European country, you have to follow, different country specific regulations, the national regulations. But they have given the provision called like centralized procedure, decentralized procedure, mutual recognition procedure, and the national procedure. National procedure means what? When you are new, like you have registered your product in ROW countries and now you are willing to enter into regulated markets. So you will select only one country, okay? One country, one application, and enter through Europe. Okay, so suppose if you have selected Netherlands, now you got the marketing authorization for Netherlands, then you can go for the MRP or DCP. MRP is what? Mutual recognition procedure. That means you can apply through couple of other countries, multiple countries, because you have already one marketing authorization in Netherlands, right? So here mutually recognition procedure you can go for, or DCP, that is a decentralized procedure. But having said this, in these two regulatory procedure, you have to select one country as a RMS. RMS is a reference member state. CMS is a concerned member state. So selecting one country as a RMS and multiple countries as CMS, you can apply through this MRP or DCP procedure. You have to book the slot. So in short, there are four regulatory system registration procedure like CP, DCP, MRP, and NP. So out of which NP, DCP, and MRP we have discussed. Coming to CP, CP is a main centralized procedure. That means what? One single application, but entire Europe, all countries, entire Europe. But only constraint is what? It is possible only if you have a rare disease product or emergency case like COVID came, no? So all COVID application or Zika virus or anti-AIDS or any kind of rare disease, cancer, AIDS or any kind of disease, if you have developed a product, then you can go through the centralized procedure. That means you can apply through one application and you get the multiple approval, multiple countries approval. That means entire Europe you get the approval, and the medicine is available for all those 28 plus 4, that is 31 countries. Okay, so again I will repeat: NP, national procedure, one country, one application. Then you enter through MRP or DCP via RMS, selecting RMS, one as RMS and multiple CMS, concerned member state and reference member state. And in this way, you can enter the, multiple countries in Europe. Otherwise, for rare disease and exclusive product, you can go through the centralized procedure. This is in short. Then UK, again, UK itself is also biggest health authority in Europe. After Brexit, they have formed their own, body. I would say it's a own regulatory body. So earlier it was like in MHRA, UK MHRA was formed in 2003 with the merger of MCA and MDA. Okay, so not going through this, all content is available on the website. You just go through this content. But UK MHRA again, I follows the same 4 procedure. Okay, MRP, CP, DCP, and NP. So I won't spend much time on this. MHRA also regulates medicines and vaccines, medical devices, blood component, e-cigarettes, traditional herbal and homeopathy remedies. Okay. So some major role of MHRA you could see: operate post-marketing surveillance for reporting, investigating and monitoring of ADR, then assessment and authorization of medicinal product for sale and supply, operate a quality surveillance to sample and test medicine, address quality defects, and to monitor the safety. So all these like clinical trials, the ensure compliance with statutory obligation, all these major roles are played by UK MHRA. Going to next, that is Australian TGA. TGA is nothing but Therapeutic Goods Administration. It's a unit of the Australian Government Department of Health and Aging. Is responsible again what? Administering Act which came into effect on 15 February 1991, and responsibility for regulatory control lies with the Therapeutic Goods Administration as the national regulatory authority for the therapeutic goods. Okay, so role of TGA is what? Pre-market evaluation and approval of registered product intended for supply in Australia. Okay, so Australian regulatory bodies, if someone asks, is a TGA. Then the development, maintenance and monitoring of the system, licensing of manufacturing in accordance with international standard of GMP, post-market monitoring, so sampling, adverse event reporting, surveillance like PV, and the assessment of medicines for export. So when you join our course, you will have thorough knowledge about each country's specific regulations. Okay. So in today's session, I'm just giving the overview of each country. Okay, overview of each country. How they monitor how they help us while registration of our pharmaceutical product as per their country specific rules. Okay. So in Australia, TGA also, there are category 1 and 2 application evaluation process. So this so same explains via this flowchart very nicely they have defined. Okay, this is category 3. Let's see. So TGA also accepts the electronic submission, that is ECTD. Everyone is aware of, right? What is ECTD, which comprises of 5 modules, module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Module 1 is administrative, module 2 is quality oral summary, module 3 is CMC, module 4 non-clinical, and module 5 is clinical. So in short, I have briefed, but when you want to learn CTD, ECTD in detail, we have different courses. Okay, so you could see this module 3, module 4, module 5, how it is reviewed, how it is evaluated by the TGA. Okay, and the report from each department goes, and then you get the either approval or the rejected. Then come to Anvisa, Brazil. So Brazil is equally stringent health authority, I would say. We have faced 10 days audits, 5 days in Rudrapur, and it was successful for the oncology plant. Anvisa is nothing but is a regulatory body of Brazil, and Brazil is the biggest country of South America. And some of the small countries nearby Brazil are following the rules according to Anvisa. So again, LATAM, you could see the LATAM countries has huge demand like Mexico, Brazil, Chile, and Argentina and other countries. There are 12 countries falls under LATAM again. So Anvisa is again tough to crack because they focus on lots of validation activity. Like even if you buy new equipment, they see to that everything is qualified and validated. DQ, IQ, OQ, PQ, water plant if you have, HVAC system if you have, even the man machine, the person who was working in oncology department has to be qualified. Persons has to be qualified. Even though if he is wearing any gown in the sterile area, those gown has to be validated, qualified. So gowning system, entire system has to be qualified and validated. So Anvisa is again monitoring drug prices for the medical device, control and inspection of smoking products, then technical support in granting of patents by the National Institute of Industrial Property, protection of health of the population by exercising sanitary control over production, then marketing of products and services linked to the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, etc. So again, you can read the slide. Registration of new drug, then pre-registration measures, how it happens, registration. Okay. So in short, whichever health authority you may select, you have to see that ICH CTD, the module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 itself, if you by heart the checklist, you will never fail in your submission. Okay, because all the document which is essential document, I would say, which are essential document are required by any health authority. Although if you say I'm submitting this to African country or something, but you have to follow those CTD guidances. It's not necessary that all documents will be required by the African country, but if you prepare yourself as per the regulated market, then your product or your registration would not fail. You will not get many deficiency. What I mean to say. Of course, administrative part you have to follow as per that particular country specific. Say for example, Brazil. Brazil, the country specific language, local language is Portuguese, right? So you have to follow some part like label and all administrative country specific requirement as per the local language. Okay. So if you go to Mexico, Spanish, correct? So apart from these CTD modules, all administrative, that is why administrative module 1 is always said that is not part of CTD. Why it is not part of CTD? Because of this cultural difference, because of this local difference, right? So module 1 is little bit different for Europe, different for Brazil, different for Mexico, different for Russia, China, Japan, or whatever countries. Okay. So you have to remember in this way that if you have compiled your dossier in CTD or eCTD format, you will not miss out any data or any document, and you will avoid getting deficiencies from the health authority. And that is why, lots of countries are going towards the harmonization, because this CTD, eCTD is a ICH format, and ICH is formed by which all countries? US, Europe, and Japan, right? These are the three major players, which is called highly regulated. USFDA, Europe, Japan, PMDA, highly regulated market, right? So all small players, MSME and all, they don't dare to enter on this market. They will first enter into small countries, then they enter to Asian market, then GCC, and then slowly they will enter into Europe, Canada, then Japan, US, like that. So, being a regulatory professional, you have to learn about the regulatory requirement, at the same time how to compile the dossier in CTD form. Okay. Coming to Health Canada. Health Canada again is the biggest health authority. Their also main objective is to protect public health, right? And you have to meet the Canadian requirement. Canada also follows CTD and eCTD guidelines. Okay, and it is also a very nice, straightforward, open country, and of course the fee structure also differs from country to country. These are all highly regulated market, so you have to pay the exorbitant fees also, and the timelines, the review timelines is also different from country to country. In Canada, like in USFDA, we talk it application type as IND, NDA, ANDA, like that. In Canada, it is called NDS. Okay, so NDS means what? New drug submission. SNDS means what? Supplemental new drug submission. Then abbreviated new drug submission, that is ANDS. Okay, where in USFDA we call it as ANDA. So A is replaced by submission. Okay. So again, if you see the IND, the service standard for first review decision, the calendar days we have mentioned here. You can see like that. You have to follow Canadian guidelines. Submit the dossier in your CTD, ECTD format, and these many days will be required, calendar days, get the marketing approval. Okay. Then the post-market changes, like we call it as product lifecycle management. This is happening in each country, right? In USFDA also, in Canada also, in Europe also. So whatever CMC changes, you have to follow the variation guidelines, and takes 90 days. Then labeling and product monograph changes, again 90 days. So this is Canadian drug review process. Okay. So it is more or less similar when you submit the application. The review happens through the regulatory reviewer, like with respect to quality, safety, and efficacy. Okay. And then the patented medicine price review board. So they see to the pricing review, maximum non-excessive price, health technology assessment. Then they give the provisional drug plans also or private drug plans. Okay. So in a nutshell, we have covered all the major regulatory bodies. Now Japan is left. Sorry, Japan again PMDA. You can see PMDA again, Pharmaceutical and Medical Device Agency, Japanese regulatory agency working together with MHLW. Okay, that is Ministry of Health and Labour. So the PMDA was established in 2004, and this is, I would say, the toughest health authority, Japan. Again, language is a barrier. When you submit the dossier in Japan, see to that all analytical data. Suppose if your analytical method is by HPLC or GC, see to that 3 injections. Okay, 3 injections are given, 3 HPLC chromatogram for each injection, and you have to provide with all the details. Along with the data, you have to attach the chromatograph also. So that tough it is. Language is one concern. Another is, they ask for use data, and the timelines are also more than, as compared to other countries. So mainly people, like, hardly there are few players who would like to go to Japan because of the language barrier, exorbitant fees, time for the review taken, but for NDA and ANDA, if you crack the Japan-like market, you will your revenue will be very high, and that's how a couple of companies are there, like GSK, then in India like Lupin and Cipla, and some Sun Pharma, or all top player, top 10 companies. If you see, they have their approval into this market. This is a PMDA chart, and then I have explained the drug approval system also, IND, NDA. Here also, pre-IND meeting happens. IRB board takes 1-4 weeks. So this you will find everything, the network, the internet. Again, this is the NDA process. Then come to Asian, Southeast Asian countries. Southeast Asian is also biggest market, comprising of 10 countries, right? Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, then Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, Brunei, and all. So all these countries, if you ask me, it is called ASEAN, ASEAN. So Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And they also have diverse regulatory requirements for the registration of product. Because suppose if you get the marketing authorization in any Asian region like Singapore, it's not easy to go into Cambodia or Vietnam, because the regional specific guidelines again we have to follow. Like in Europe also, right? So they have their national registration procedure. You have to follow similar way. And these all Southeast Asian countries are also on the verge of harmonization efforts, but still it is not happened. It's happening since 2015, what I heard. Although this, as I said, the common technical, that is CTD format, can serve a resource for the most local marketing authorization application, it is not necessarily required in its full length. So you have to tweak here and there, the information like administrative data, legal data, country-specific stability requirement, product labeling. So you have to ensure that when you go to Singapore or Malaysia or Thailand, you have to meet the country-specific requirement to get the successful approval. Okay. So here in Asian countries also we have this, the ACTD format, like which comprises of part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. So part 1 talks about the administrative data, part 2 talks about the quality data and the summary of body of data. The CMC section goes here. Part 3 non-clinical, and the part 4 is clinical. So again, if you see the countries, the administration requirement, this is not part of ACTD. Similar way, if you see the CTD organization, it comprises of module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So it is a difference. Like here you see part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. There you will see module 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if you see the general comparison of Asian countries, like for Malaysia, so validity of course is 5 years for all countries. But the format, format allowed is like this. Again, the comparison for administrative document we have covered into this, the application form, copy of valid certificate of brand name, then COPP, free sale certificate. So like that, there are comparison given, and which is easy to follow for a regulatory professional. So we teach in depth like country specific regulation, country specific requirement for particular product, Then coming to CIS countries, that is Russian countries, again, these are CIS region includes 12 countries such as Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, and Moldova. So again, this is also like not harmonized, I would say. Then here also you will find the culture and the regional differences like local language. It's very difficult to understand, so you have to have translator. So the dossier has to be translated into. In Japan, it is Japanese. In Brazil, it is Portuguese. In Mexico, Spanish. In Russia, it is Russian. Even if you go to SFDA like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Arabic, so you have to follow not only the regulation, you have to follow the local language also to cover the administrative part, the label, the artwork, and the country of origin information. So all the administrative requirement for which you have to have the translator done, okay, translation done. So again, Armenia, you will see Russia. Then again, Russia is also toughest country to crack. It time consuming. The cost is also huge. Then people go to first, small country like. Then Ukraine also is one of the major country, but now I don't know the status. It's really horrible. A few days ago. Then Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, you will see all country specific requirement you have to follow like this. Okay. So with this, we have covered almost major region or the major country specific requirement. And thanks for your kind attention. And see to that we have to satisfy our patient requirement with respect to quality, safety, and efficacy. So our commitment is towards what? Quality, safety, and efficacy. So thank you very much again. And then we will have question answer session. I will stop here. Thanks again. Once again. Okay. So I will stop the recording also. Just hold on.